Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of 3 Wide. I'm your host, Radney Crawford. On today's episode, we're going to be going over the news that came out today. Josh Berry is officially going to Stewart-Haas Racing in 2024, replacing the retiring Kevin Harvick in the 4-car. We're going to go over all the highlights from that press conference, what this means for SHR, as well as what to expect now with silly season officially kicked off. So before we get started on this week's episode, let me tell you about our presenting sponsor, Hunt to Harvest. If you're looking to get an upgrade or update on your hunting apparel, then hunttoharvest.com is where you need to go. Well, right now you can go check out their spring 2023 collection where they have numerous shirt designs for both turkey hunters as well as fishing. Also, they have a sale going on right now with their long sleeve shirts. So if you're wanting to get a head start on your winter collection, hunttoharvest.com has it all ready for you. And they still have that mystery box special going on where you can get 3 shirts chosen at random sent to you for just $33. Be sure when you go to checkout to use that promo code RADNEY18923. That's RADNEY18923 for even more savings at checkout at hunttoharvest.com. Now, before we dive into today's press conference and all the highlights from that, I wanted to talk for a second about what this signing means for Stewart-Haas Racing as a whole. With a driver like Kevin Harvick retiring and leaving this team, and Kevin Harvick's been the guy to carry this team on his shoulders over the past few years, Stewart-Haas Racing hasn't been as competitive, as dominant as they were just a few years ago. And Harvick has really been the one consistent one to be up there in the top 10 week in and week out. So losing him is a huge piece to your puzzle that you have to fill. And I believe they got a good start on that with signing Josh Berry. With Josh, he's not this 20 or 21-year-old driver with a ton of raw talent that you're going to have to take the time to mold and really be patient with and wait for 3 or 4 years before you really start seeing results. I feel like Josh Berry, 32, he'll be 33 by the time the next season rolls around. He's already established. We all know how consistent Josh Berry is on the track. He's taken the situations that's been in front of him that he's been given. He's taken advantage of all of them. When he got his part-time starts in that 8-car with Junior Motorsports back in 2021, he went out and won at Martinsville and really showed he belonged in the top NASCAR levels. And much like when he filled in for Chase Elliott earlier this year when Chase was out with injury, you saw Josh get better week in and week out in that car and even come away with a second-place finish at one point. So with Josh Berry, you know what you're getting. You're getting a driver who can be consistent, and you're pairing him up with one of the best crew chiefs in that Cup garage, and that being Rodney Childers. And I think this is going to be a partnership that is going to be very good for Stewart-Haas Racing. And as I said, this is a step in the right direction for Stewart-Haas Racing. It's going to be tough to fill the shoes of Kevin Harvick. As I said, first ballot Hall of Famer, legend of the sport, but it's a good start with Josh Berry. And depending on how silly season goes from here to the beginning of next season, the rumors of Eric Almirola, if he is genuinely retiring, you could be looking at a team with 2 new drivers in their field next year. Now, going into today's press conference, some of the quotes and the highlights that I wanted to discuss, number one was how long these conversations have been going on. I myself figured that the conversations really didn't kick off until after Josh had gotten a handful of starts in that 9-car for Chase Elliott, shown what he can do and showing the improvement that he did. But apparently these talks have been going on since as early as January, which was really surprising to me. It just shows how high a priority Josh was for this team, for Tony Stewart in particular. And with Josh getting the seat time he did in the Hendrick cars, you got to think that was very much a tryout period for Josh and gave Tony Stewart a chance to really see what he could do in a next-gen Cup car. So one of the questions that Josh Berry was asked was, what were the conversations like and what support was he getting from his Xfinity Series owners, Kelly Earnhardt Miller and Dale Earnhardt Jr., which Berry was quick to point out that they were fully supportive. They were very proud of him and how far he had come and getting this opportunity in the Cup Series. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. has played a big role in Josh getting to this point. Josh spent, many years driving for Junior in the Cars Tour, in the late model world, and was able to get his first opportunity, big opportunity, thanks to Dale Earnhardt Jr. driving part-time in that 8-car in 2021. So I think this is probably just gathering how Junior was reacting in his interviews at the press conference. I feel like this was probably the proudest Junior has felt of one of his drivers getting up into the Cup Series level, simply because Josh has done it the hard way, I guess, nowadays, which is he's grinded on the late model circuit, on the Cars Tour, fought his way to get to this point. So I think there was a sense of pride in Dale Jr. seeing this driver get into the Cup Series. And with all these conversations going on, it's crazy to see how much goes on behind the scenes and how much Josh Berry was dealing with so far this season. He's driving full time in the Xfinity Series, trying to get his first championship there while having conversations with Stewart-Haas Racing, getting pulled into the 9 car, getting pulled into the 48 car. The pressure on probably feeling like he had to perform big time in those opportunities in the Cup Series. It's a real testament to his work ethic, his skill on how he's been able to perform through all this going on behind the scenes. And now it'll be real interesting to see how does he perform in the Xfinity Series side of things now with the announcement out. Now he can focus solely on running for that Xfinity Series championship. Can he start knocking out wins? And I don't want to say he hasn't been competitive this year. He's been very consistent. He's run up front quite a bit. He hasn't won yet, but that very well could change now that all this pressure is off his shoulders. And one of the big questions in today's press conference, or that I was waiting to hear asked, was sponsorship. We know Anheuser-Busch is looking at possibly going to a new team next year. The rumors are Ross Chastain and Trackhouse Racing. That is a huge chunk of that 4-car sponsorship schedule gone possibly. So Tony Stewart said right now everything's open. There is no signed deals for sponsorship. He is talking to some of their current partners, most likely, Mobile One, Gear Wrench, Realtree, to try and get them to stay on board and stay on that 4-car. Then Josh, he's probably a couple of his Xfinity Series sponsors are in the conversations as well. Maybe Tire Pros, maybe we see them on for a race or two as a main sponsor. And Tony Stewart also said that they are talking to some newer sponsors about coming onto this 4-car. So that'll be interesting to see what unfolds on that side of the deal. And we probably really won't know what the sponsorship side of things look like until after the season is over with. But now we begin the domino effect of silly season. It's officially kicked off now. We knew Kevin Harvick was retiring this year. It was just a matter of who was going to replace him and then let the dominoes fall after that. So now with Josh Berry going to this 4-car, that opens up a top-tier Xfinity Series ride in the 8-car for Junior Motorsports. So now it becomes who comes into that car. And I think the favorite for that ride would be Carson Hocevar. He's already a Chevy driver, been very impressive in his few Xfinity starts and his one Cup start. And he's shown a lot more maturity over the past few months, a lot of growth. This could be his opportunity to move up to the next ranking, not allow him to get stuck into the Truck Series. Some other names that were mentioned, Carson Kvapil, who drives the late models for Dale Jr. He was mentioned. With Carson, he's 20 years old. I don't think Junior's going to be in a rush to get him a full-time ride. We've seen Junior do this many times where he's going to give these guys some part-time starts, enough to get their feet wet before pulling the trigger and putting them in a full-time spot. And I think that's what's going to happen with Carson Kvapil. His time's going to come. It's just not there yet. Some names of interest that I saw being thrown around was Christian Eckes, who's driving the 19 truck in the Truck Series, having a career year, winning 2 races so far this season. First 2 wins for that truck team. That would be an interesting hire for Junior Motorsports. I think that would be much like Carson Hocevar. Eckes is a raw talent, and I think can go very far in this sport. It's just a matter of getting that opportunity. And outside of Hocevar and Christian Eckes, another name that I hear thrown around is Rajah Caruth. That would be another interesting hire, and I think a popular one. Rajah, like Carson, he's still very young, 21 years old. This is his first full-time truck season. He does have a handful of starts in the Xfinity Series. I think he just needs a little bit more time, a few more starts in the Xfinity Series, maybe another full year in the trucks before he's ready to take that next step. But that's another name to keep an eye on over the next season or two. And with today's announcement, it kicks off what's going to be an interesting next few months. On the silly season side of things, it's going to start becoming musical chairs with all these holes opening up at teams and drivers getting moved around. Also, you got the final stretch before the playoff starts. These drivers are going to start fighting tooth and nail to lock in their playoff spot. Then you have the 2024 schedule that should be out over the next couple months. A lot of rumors going around on where these series may be going next year. So there's going to be plenty to keep up with over the coming months. And you're going to want to subscribe right here to 3 Wide. We're going to be bringing you videos week in and week out, going over what the hot new rumors are, what the breaking news is, the racing action going on the track. There's going to be plenty to discuss. And that'll wrap up today's video. As always, thank y'all for joining me and watching along. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you will know when our new videos come out each and every week. Also, our weekly fantasy picks, they come back out this weekend with the NASCAR Cup Series returning to the track at Nashville Superspeedway. So I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their week, enjoys the racing action, as we will have the Craftsman Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, and the Cup Series going to the track at Nashville Superspeedway.